everyone. My name is LINA KHALIFEH. I am the founder of SheFighter. Over 20 years in the financial services industry, Laura is the head of BMO for women, leading a mission to break down systemic barriers that prevent women from reaching their full financial confidence, and currently enrolled in the University of Toronto graduate diploma in corporate social responsibility and sustainability. After taking a year in 2009 to backpack and reflect, she now focuses on roles that align to her personal values, and you're going to tell us later what's your personal values, and allow her to bring transformative change to organizations. In her spare time, you can find her photographing or filming her travels via planes, trains, or motorcycles. We will be talking with her mostly about her passion to motorcycles and helping women. So please help me welcome Laura Reinholz, right? Is that your family name, Reinholz?
Yes.
Great, great.
Actually,
thank you so much.
You pronounced it right the first time too.
Great. I was just making sure, because sometimes with family names, it's pronounced in a different way. So I was making sure to pronounce it perfectly. And since you started long time with motorcycle, I think you come from a family that used to ride motorcycles, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So my dad rode motorcycles. He didn't do a lot of riding while I was growing up because he worked away and really didn't have the time, because when he was home, it was for very short periods of time. Funny story, he and my mom ran away 3 days after her 18th birthday and got married. And on a motorcycle. They ran away on a motorcycle and got married.
That's the best story.
And we actually just had that motorcycle restored, and it's downstairs in our stable of bikes. So it means a lot to actually have that piece of my family history.
And when did you start riding motorcycles?
I started riding on my own in 2018, but I started riding in 2012 when Tony and I started dating, and we were traveling together.
Tell us more about your tattoos. I like your tattoos. Can you show us some of your tattoos?
Oh. This is actually photos that I took on a motorcycle trip in the Alps in 2017. So These are the Dolomites.
That's amazing. And you did it there, or you did it in Toronto?
The tattoo?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the tattoo done in Toronto. It was a big undertaking. It was 3 sittings of about 3 hours each.
Oh, okay, 3 hours each. That's a lot. So yeah. So you had to come and go, do it many times. And did it take time to heal?
No, it generally only takes about a week to heal each session. But with each session that was done, it was more painful because you get the scar tissue buildup.
Oh yeah. But is it like so it's very important for that place? It's very important for you. That's why you did a tattoo. Is it special to your heart?
It is. Actually, it's funny. I know one of the questions you want to ask me later is what I want to do in the future. But we actually plan on buying a property in northern Italy, so in the next couple of years, so that working towards our retirement, we'll actually have a home base near the mountains to be able to travel, spend our summer on the bike.
Yeah, it's easier to move around Europe, by the way, on the bike than.
So much easier. We could be, when we were on that trip, we were all in the Alps, and we went through France, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, and Slovenia. And it was interesting because of the way the mountain passes work. You would be in, Switzerland, and then Italy, and then Switzerland, and yeah.
It's just beautiful. Even what are you going to see on the road? Like when I was taking a train between different countries in Europe, oh my God, it's just different. 7, right? You feel like you're in heaven sometimes.
Yeah. It's pretty scary though. I was a passenger on that trip. I wasn't riding myself. And it was interesting, and you're constantly moving. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell us why do you think the first question would be, is there a lot of women riders? And if there is not much, why there's not much women riding motorcycles?
So I actually did a little bit of research about a year ago about this. we're the fastest growing segment of customers for motorcycles. When you look at the data, in 2009, we only made up about 10% of riders. And then in 2018, we were at 19%. And we're fast growing to become a quarter of riders out there. And then when you do the breakdown in the demographics, women riders tend to be younger than male riders. So the average age, I think, of a male rider is around 48 or 49. And when you look at the average age of a woman, it's around 38. And when you do the breakdown into the years, millennial, I actually wrote this down because I thought it was interesting. 26% of riders are millennial women, and 22% are Gen X women. So when you start doing the breakdown in demographics, we're very quickly becoming a large portion of riders out there.
That's amazing. It means that do you believe, like, because there is now more freedom for women to choose whatever they want to pursue in their lives, that's why they go for motorcycles or different kind of sports that not even sports, like other things that they were not supposed to be for women? Is it because we have more freedom and we have come a long way until now?
I think I actually think you've nailed something there. I think it does have to do with empowerment and with the way a lot of younger women are looking for ways to break traditional gender stereotypes of women. And I think that this is a bit of you probably find this in the sport that you do too, right? With martial arts. It's a way to feel empowered and confident and independent. And it's unique too, because I still don't encounter that many women that I know in my world that are riders, but it's actually surprising. There's at least 3 or 4 women within my network within the bank that all ride.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're the director of women at BMO Bank, and why do you believe that there has to be such a position for women in the bank?
There's a lot of different reasons, and I think that my view on it has probably changed the last almost 5 years since I've been in the role. Over the last year, I've really started to realize with how women have been stepping away from their careers and kind of being pushed back into the old gendered roles within the home with childcare and so on. There's something societal and foundational that's still embedded in us. I'm not even talking the banking system right now. I'm just talking about us as a general society and culture. And I'm going to say that this is a global thing, is that women are still expected to be the caregivers and the nurturers and so on. And what that's doing is creating a lack of financial opportunity, I think, for women. And though there's not as much, like we're saving less towards retirement, we're being paid less on average than men. We're not going into careers that tend to be high-paying careers. We tend to go into other industries. There's a lot of things that are foundationally there. But then when you, sorry?
Oh no, go ahead. Continue.
When you look into the banking industry, all of those biases and stereotypes have historically been baked into how loans are underwritten for business owners and so on. And so women tend to get access to less capital through traditional lending platforms. They have access to less capital if they're pitching to a venture capital firm or a private equity firm. So there's all of these other things that are at play. And then when you go look at the investment industry, like for example, in Canada, only about 18% of all advisors in Canada are women. And so you're looking at, on average, I think, the average age of an advisor is around 48 or 49. So you have all of these 48 or 49-year-old men who are advising on investments and financial planning and so on. And they're not connecting with the women clients. And so what's happening as well is that if women aren't feeling like their advisors are serving their best interest. And so a lot of what we've been doing from our program perspective is really trying to make sure that we're removing all of those, I want to say, systemic things that are facing women. And while it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. These are foundational things that need to change, like getting more women into advisor roles. Like that's going to take many years to be able to, pull in. So while we're working on that over here, we're working on things like training on how to understand women and have better conversations with women as clients, so that we're kind of addressing both issues at once.
What do you mean by transformative changes, and how do you bring change to an organization? Because change comes, like as you said, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of years. But is there like maybe an easier way to, or like a step-by-step plan to bring change?
Generally, in order to drive change, you actually need to look at a lot of data to begin with. So this is my third role now that I would be in what would be considered transformational. And what that has been is establishing new strategies and new initiatives within an organization to take them from here and move them along. And so what we did when I came into this role, it required a lot of understanding consumer behavior, understanding what women are looking for in their banking relationships, what they're looking for in how they're as consumers, what they care about, what they value. And so then taking that and looking at what the business opportunity is too. Like women over the next 8 years are going to be coming into a lot of, through generational transfer of wealth, they're going to be coming into a large amount of wealth. So if you look at just purely the business opportunity of how much wealth women are going to be holding globally over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that builds up actually a business case that would make an organization pay attention, as well as the fact that it's the right thing to be doing. But you kind of have to look at it in a lot of ways when you're looking at transformational change. You actually have to look at what the numbers are to be able to articulate what the benefit is to the business and why they need to make that change, and why it's important from a business perspective. And then while you're working on that, you can then start pushing through a lot of the values-based pieces as well. So for example, while I was building out our program and building out the case as to why the program should exist and is valuable, at the same time, we were working with Carleton University and the Beacon Agency on a study on women entrepreneurs and innovation, as well as there was 2 studies that were done, one on entrepreneurs and risk and one on innovation. And then when we started working with the federal government with that with the second study, the federal government actually came in as a partner on that study as well. That actually ended up helping form the women entrepreneurship strategy in the 2018 federal budget for Canada. And so if you look at how, from an organizational perspective, we weren't just looking at driving change internally, we were looking at how we could actually make it better for at the policy level. So it's kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your personal values, and do they align with the bank value?
So at the core of what I believe is that the world should be an equitable and a place with access to economic opportunity and growth. I know that's a very optimistic way to look at values, but at the core, that's what I believe. I believe that we should all have that same opportunity. The world's not like that. But I do believe that the organization I work for is moving more towards that. Like when I look at some of the things that they've been doing over the last year with respect to creating ESG investing, like through the global asset management arm, what we're doing internally as far as advancing Black, Indigenous, Latinx, other people of color, within our LGBTQ plus, like there's actually organizational structures being built to help get more people within what would have been historically underrepresented groups in the corporate world moving up into leadership positions.
Yeah,
and
but
building out that pipeline.
Yeah, let's say if you have, let's say diversity is one of the values, and you actually encourage people who are minorities or LGBTQ or, you know, women, or to apply for jobs. Do you actually, you know, kind of prefer those for to get the job, or do you do it by skills, like you interview everybody and or qualifications, like you realize that this person is qualified no matter where they come from, what's their gender? Or do you just say we have to hire, let's say 10% women, so we have to hire these women? And like, how do usually diversity in the employment works?
It's asking for a diverse slate. So when we post a job and we're meeting with the recruiter, that's actually our internal recruiter that's doing the job posting, we're actually deliberately asking for diverse talent slates to be put forward to us as the hiring manager. So I'll use my example. I'm hiring right now. And when I talk to my recruiter, like, skills are skills. And then when you start looking across all of the applicants that come in, I said that I wanted to hire somebody from either from the Black or Indigenous community. I'm in Toronto, so, and Canada, so it may look different in different areas. Like I said I wanted to hire within certain groups. And so those are the applications that I'm getting. Every single one of the applications I'm getting, they have the skills I'm looking for.
It's challenging.
Maybe different life experience, but I also don't think we should be, I think we should be thinking bigger about what we're considering life experience too, or experience or skills, because I think that you can teach certain skills very quickly, and then there's other skills that aren't teachable, and I'm looking more for the things that aren't teachable than the things that are, if that makes sense.
And what are the things that are not teachable? Is it like behavioral mostly?
Behavior, like so for example, in my program, I look for somebody who is comfortable with ambiguity, because there's constant changes and we get a lot of requests coming in from around the organization. So I need somebody who can pivot quickly and is comfortable with ambiguity, good relationship skills, collaborative, like those are all things that are hard to teach.
Yeah,
like those are inherent.
Like people who are bold, you know, brave, bold.
Bold?
Yeah, I feel like bold is
like people.
Yeah.
I like when I'm interviewing, because I know the recruiter is already screened through for, you know, basic skills that you need. I ask things like what people think are their superpower. What's the scariest thing that they've ever done that's, you know, stepped out of their comfort zone. And I try to gauge based on those kind of questions, just how comfortable they would be with the flux of what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's great to know. And how do women lead differently in your point of view?
There's a lot of research out there that talks about how
you love research,
that,
right?
You know, we're more empathetic. I do. I'm a data nerd.
Yeah, I know. That's good.
So there is a lot out there that says that we're, you know, more empathetic, we're more collaborative, etc. But I recently read an article by Forbes, and this really resonated. Generally, when a non-dominant group, so women have not been the dominant group in leadership or in a lot of industries for many, many years. And so when you have people that are part of more of a non-dominant group, they tend to be more collaborative because they have to get more input and so on. in order to get stuff moved forward. They need to focus more on stakeholders because they need to get more buy-in from people to be able to get things moved forward. And so I don't know whether it's because we're coming from a position from behind where we've always been the non-dominant group in leadership, or whether it's inherent to our personality traits. So it is interesting. And I do find I'm surrounded by women leaders in a lot of ways. And I do find that they do tend to be very empathetic, collaborative, and so on. So I would say that those are the two big things.
And what do you want to become in the future, or hope to become, or you envision yourself in the future?
I'm still really figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. There's a few things that I would like to be able to do in this industry, but ideally, Tony and I would like, as I said earlier, would like to have a place in Northern Italy. And my dream is to actually have it like a B&B. That's a place for motorcyclists to come and potentially do like tours and so on.
I would
eventually like to be an entrepreneur with a like a business near the Alps to be able to do something related to motorcycle tours. Yeah, that's a little bit further out.
Yeah, why not?
In the meantime, I'm having, enjoying being in the corporate world and trying and making change.
And I think you have now a few panels you're talking at, or like conferences coming up. Do you want to mention some of them? Because it's Women's Month, March.
So it's interesting. This year was weird with respect to International Women's Day because it's actually marking a year since we went into the pandemic. And so I spoke on a panel on Friday and I interviewed some amazing women. So Elise Nelson, Betty Hines, Sophie Pierre, and Susan Baharial, all amazing women in leadership. So that was through GroYourBiz. A podcast will be coming out this week talking about women in financial empowerment. And that's with the Wolf Wealth Collective. And there's this. Those are really my big speaking pieces this year.
I mean, this year, I don't think there's much as last year, as we said, but because of the pandemic. But I think they're doing okay, regarding virtual conferences. They're okay. It's not like 1 year ago, but it's totally acceptable with our situation.
Yeah, I found that this year, everything came late. In the last week, I've received so many invites for different things that are happening tomorrow and Tuesday, and I was already booked over. So I think people were planning later. I don't know.
I have, it's funny now, I'm receiving a lot of people want me to speak on Clubhouse. And I have a Samsung, and I said like, sorry, I have a Samsung. And they're like, no, you should get an iPhone. We want you to speak on this. I'm like, listen, there's too many apps. I can't follow with. So there's a lot of things going on Clubhouse apparently, but it's an audio app.
So I actually spoke on a Clubhouse meet last Monday, and it was on mentorship. And I have to say, I like it.
Really? Did you like it?
A lot. Yes.
I did not.
Because in this very virtual world where we are always on camera, the Clubhouse platform where it's audio only, you don't have to, like, you can basically sit and relax on your couch as opposed to being,
that's interesting.
Video ready.
Yeah, when they told me about audio, I'm like, how am I gonna speak? You can be anywhere and just speak. But I told them, unfortunately, I support Korean industry. I'm Samsung. And they're like, no, we'll buy you an iPhone. I'm like, go buy me one.
Can't you do it for on a Mac?
I asked, they said no. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
sure. I think you have to have a number, I think, linked to the app, or I have no idea. But I think
Yeah,
eventually
you do.
I heard they will go on Samsung, on Android in summer. So I'm sure after that it's gonna be like packed with a lot of sessions and
Well, in their most recent update, they just allowed you to start your own club on your own without having to submit an email to them. And I tried to do that yesterday, and I got we're sorry, you're not popular enough. Please, I have to
really?
speak. I have before they'll let me start my own clubhouse or club. I have to speak more and be more participative in it.
Oh, look at them. They wanna try to just work on the app so it will. Even the invitation thing is
Yeah,
smart because it makes you feel like, oh, you're unique. You got an invitation from someone, even though I got hundreds of invitations of people and they're like texting me, we have 5 invitations for you. I'm like, I'm not changing my Samsung. No, actually, why I do have this small loyalty to Samsung because they do sponsor Olympics. And yeah, they sponsored, like they sponsored my whole stay with and they have Samsung hotels in Korea. It's just a huge company that sponsors since long time the Olympics. So for me, I feel like, oh, they at least they sponsored the sport industry. So, and they told me once I had even an iPhone, and they're like, we need to get you a Samsung, and they gave me the latest Samsung. I'm like, I love Samsung. But yeah, anyway. But
we're totally Apple in our house. Our whole ecosystem is Apple. We've got the iMac, we've got the phones, we've got
yeah.
the TV and
Oh,
the
the
speaker
watches.
system.
I can see the watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny about these, like if you go to some countries, they're just 100% Samsung, everybody. And you go to, let's say, North America, it's Apple. And I mean, my laptop is Mac. It's amazing. But I don't know, you just get used to different devices and you feel like you don't want to change at some point. But I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it's different. But where can people find you?
Where can they find me? Well,
In Toronto?
not really. Yeah, I should say I'm not really leaving my 1,000 square feet downtown Toronto much these
Find you
days.
online.
They can find me online, so I'm on LinkedIn. Pretty easy to find. On Twitter at Laura M. Reinholz, Instagram Laura M. Reinholz, and I also have Tony and I have a blog called by2wings2wheels.com, and that's our blog for our travels. It's a little sad right now because there's not a lot to write about or post photos about, but hopefully one of these days we'll be able to get it going again. And I'm also working on an outline for a podcast called By Two Wings or Two Wheels. And that's what I wanted to do on Clubhouse as well, is create a meetup spot for people who like to travel primarily by motorcycles, but not just motorcycles, but more on like a world global basis.
Yeah. Can you send me
Like
all these
people who
links?
like adventure.
Yeah, send me all these links by email so I can share them with the people.
I'll do that.
Thanks so much, Laura, for joining us. And we need more women in the corporate positions to facilitate and collaboration between small projects and the corporate world. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
So for everybody watching, go ahead and subscribe at SheFighter.com to receive the latest news and updates. And to watch more of our Empowerment Zone episodes, please visit SheFighter.com/the Empowerment Zone. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.